Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Fires upfield into the end zone, and it's caught. Jelani Woods, touchdown! INDY! A 43-point night for Tyrese Halliburton.
How do you like that, partner?
Renew now, drives in low, throws up a shot. It doesn't go. Tipped up and in by Anthony Leal. Indiana takes the lead.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Now, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hey guys. As you can see, I'm definitely not Jim. Jim is, well, as you can see there for a second, at the IU Memorial Stadium down in Bloomington. He's trying to do the show live from there today. It seems he's having some technical difficulties, some connection issues, and some things like that. So, gotta bear with me there for a few minutes here. Hopefully, we can get things situated. Who let Jim on the field? That's a great question. That is a great question. Seems like, they might have just came to get him off. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, hope everyone had a good weekend. Temperatures finally rising, unfortunately. Some may like it, some not. Me personally, not a person who likes it, but hey, it's okay. Fall will be right around the corner. There he is.
You may have to start it over.
That's totally fine.
Gosh, damn it. Son of a bitch. I don't know why I'm losing connection. Come on, man. Well, I'll try that in a little bit when I can get inside. I'll move around. Is Don not with us yet?
No, not yet. He is not with us yet.
All right. Can you see the statue behind me?
Yep, statue is there.
All right, you can go anytime.
Alrighty. Let me mark this down for my notes here. All right, in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Fires upfield into the end zone, and it's caught. Jelani Woods, touchdown! INDY! A 43-point night for Tyrese Halliburton.
How do you like that, partner?
Renew now, drives in low, throws up a shot. It doesn't go. Tipped up and in by Anthony Leal. Indiana takes the lead.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Now, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Oh, I think we lost them literally just again as we were going. Oh man. This is a rough Monday. Mondays are usually the rough ones. Get it out early, right? Get everything out of the system. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I did watch the Portland race. Yeah. Not sure how I feel about it. Glad to see Will Power is back on back with a chip on his shoulder. He was not messing around, but I guess I'm the host for today. I don't know. I do not know. Oh. Yeah. It's been interesting. What kind of hat does he have on? Looks like I don't know. I didn't see. I wasn't paying attention. Watched some of the Florida State and Georgia Tech game. I didn't watch. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't watch any college football. What did I do? I had family over. Pool day. Played with dogs. I watched IndyCar. Watched Formula One. Right? Oh, I wish I could bring this chair to the 500. Boy, I'll tell you what. Some of those bleachers they have aren't the most comfortable, but it's okay. You're not there for, the comfort. You're there for the atmosphere and the presentation in front of you. Someone's doing this. I don't know. Jim is being sabotaged. Not good. GT can run the ball. I don't think Florida State's transfer quarterback's very good. Justin, did you see Jim fall? There was no fall. It was I think he dropped something or might have just tripped into something and something fell over and made a loud clanky noise. So those stadiums, like underneath the bleachers and everything can be real echoey when you got all the concrete and big open room, big open space. Link is not ready. Well, we should be having Don Fischer join us shortly. At least I do know that. Then later on today, we will be having Greg Rakestraw and Dustin Dopirak. Should be good, hopefully. So as the connection and things settle here. Who has the best Wi-Fi in Bloomington? Head there. Yeah, you would think with students being back in session. Actually, today is their first day, I believe. I have a cousin who goes to IU Bloomington, and I know she's starting her classes today. But yeah, you what I was saying though is you would think with everything, all the students being back and just everyone being back on campus, the Wi-Fi and infrastructure would probably be a little bit better. But that is also a good point. It is also being pounded with everyone being on it. So there we go. Morning, Mr. Fisher.
Hello.
Hi, we're having some technical difficulties with Jim right now, unfortunately. He's trying to stream from Memorial Stadium and is having some Wi-Fi issues.
Okay.
How was your weekend? How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. Good to hear.
Are we going to get him on here or not?
Hopefully here soon. He was just on here. He's cut out twice now, so
okay.
He's trying to get back on right now. Find a good spot with connection. So I've been trying to keep the chat entertained here. Someone here in the chat says, I bet Don's ready to call some football that, doesn't suck. So,
well, that's true.
Well, we got the fans are here for you. They're excited for you already. This is great. This is the great Don Fischer. Let's hear about your day. Oh man.
They want to hear about my day?
Yeah, someone asked about it. Yeah, I don't know about you guys or about you, Mr. Fisher, but I am not enjoying this temperature right now and the next coming days.
No, it's hot. There's no question about that.
Yeah, are you a golfer at all or anything like that?
That's pretty much what I do all summer long.
Okay, yeah, so then you really understand.
But I have played in a lot of heat this summer, and I've never been bothered that much by the heat. I mean, not that you love it, or
Yeah,
sitting out there and you're sweating like a booch, but no, I play a lot of golf in hot weather, and I if it wasn't hot, I'd probably be belly aching about how cold it was. So
that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I've just been recently getting into it, and I've got the itch really bad, and it's like all I've wanted to do is play. And
I
it's just
know.
like I've never been like a big heat person. I've never handled it like too well. So it's just like, oh, seeing this, like I played probably 5 of the 7 days last week, and probably maybe might play 1 or 2 times this week. I just like, this heat, just like I'd rather just stay inside and read a book or do something. Maybe go outside with my dogs for like 30-45 minutes if it's, not unbearable. But
Well, if you're playing golf 5 days a week, you've got the bug.
Oh, I've got it really bad right now. I'm not very good, so
Where do you
like
play at?
Eagle Creek.
Okay.
Yeah, I live here in Speedway, and I used to work over at Eagle Creek a few years ago.
Right.
Just over in the cart barns. So I got a pretty good relationship with all the staff over there too. I have 4 dogs, Russell, 4 in this household. 1 of my own, then like 3 to just the rest of the family. But Don is in the green room, yes. So what are your some of your general thoughts like going into this season though? I'm not too informed on college football, especially IU. I'm new to this world, so I'm trying to just absorb as much information as possible.
Well, it's going to be a good season, I think. I think we've got a new coach that knows exactly what he's doing. He's never had a losing season in 13 years as a head coach. He was at James Madison the last 5 years. He won the conference all 5 of the years he was there, and got him to be James Madison to be ranked 25th in the country at the end of last season. So yes, it is. It's very impressive. I watched his practices this spring. I watched his practices this fall. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's tremendously well organized. He believes less is more, which means they practice probably not as much as most college football teams do.
Right.
He gives them days off, like 2 days a week they take off. They kind of split it up. They'll go, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, take Thursday off, go Friday, Saturday, take Sunday off, and then the next week they'll mix it up a little bit. But generally speaking, his practices are the most organized I've seen in a long, long time. And like he's just smart. He really knows what he's doing, and he believes in his system, and he doesn't vary from it. His philosophy is tremendous. His culture that he builds with his players and his coaches is tremendous. I'm excited about what we're about to see. I really think he's going to win in Indiana, which is saying something because we haven't had a lot of winning seasons, as you know.
Right. And that's one thing I do know about Indiana football is, guys haven't been the greatest over the years, but everything that I've heard about Coach Cignetti and from all the interviews I've seen from other coaches, from athletes, or, just any sort of individual from the press or media, everyone praises him or has something good to say about him. And that just seems very uncanny. You don't really hear that too often, especially with sports people or big time names in the sports media.
Right. No, he's the real deal. I'm convinced of it. The only question on this roster that I see is depth. They can't really afford injuries in certain positions, offensive line, defensive side of the football, key guys that you just can't afford to lose key people. It's hard to replace guys like that. That's always the case, or always has been the case in Indiana. You go to Ohio State or Michigan, places like that, they may lose a key guy and they just slot the next guy in because they've been able to recruit so well through the years. And those powerhouse programs they attract, good players, guys that you would probably be starters anyplace else in the country. But at Michigan, they're backups, or Ohio State. So that's a big part of what Indiana will try to build here. Whether they get to that point or not, we'll have to wait and see.
Right. Oh, looks like we got Jim trying to connect with us here. Jim, can you hear us?
This is unbelievable.
Apparently he can't.
We can see you now. We're getting there.
Well, I guess that we're on. I cannot hear you guys, unfortunately. I'm not sure if the Wi-Fi has been shut down. But coming to you from Indiana's Memorial Stadium today, big day. Starts a game week for the Hoosiers. Of course, Don Fischer will be at the mic once again, and looking forward to that. Back with an old partner, as Buck Sewer will be joining him back up into the booth. Don, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Can you hear me now?
I can, man. It's a rough start to this day, getting things. You know how first games are. You got to get the kinks worked out.
Well, you got to get the kinks worked out. Where are you at? Memorial Stadium?
Yes, sir. I'm up in Hinkey Hall right now, and Wi-Fi was just kind of janky for some reason, but I think we've got it all together now. But yeah, a big day out here as well, because you've got the events going on. They're showing us some of the new things the fans are going to get to experience, from Levy's being in charge of the food, which they are a big time business when it comes to that. They're probably the biggest in the country. Don, my question is, does that include us in the media? Do we get the good stuff? I'm hoping that they're not going to just tease us with this today and then we get stuck with the hot dogs again.
Well, who knows? I mean, honestly, I got no idea. I'm gonna be there just like you are, which means I got to get going here shortly. But nevertheless, I would assume that it probably means everybody's going to get this food, but we'll wait and see. The media usually gets left behind.
Literally. But hey, it's a great start. College football season officially started this past weekend, I guess, a handful of games, including a big upset. But that brings into conversation quickly, Don. The new 12-team playoff format is going to open the door for some surprising teams. I really believe that. I'm not saying Indiana is going to be one of those, but this is not to say that this can't happen at some point, because now you have an opportunity to, with the removal of the divisions, it's a more balanced schedule. Indiana getting a chance to get their program kicked off under Kurt Cignetti in a great way with this schedule. So this could be the start of something really, really good for Indiana football.
Well, I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see a different program than we've seen at IU for a while. I believe that. I have been to so many of the practices for this for in the spring. I was at 10 of the 13 practices they had in the spring. I have been to 8 or 9 of the practices this fall. I've been privileged to get a chance to be down there and watch all the practices that I've had a chance to attend. And I just love what this guy does. His organization, his coaching staff, the way he goes about dealing with the players, everything that I've seen is an improvement. There's no question about it. This guy's never had a losing season. I can see why. Obviously, he's at a different level than he's ever been at. But at the same time, his formula has worked every place he's been. And he started at Indiana University, Pennsylvania. He moved on to Elon, I think it was for a couple of years. James Madison then. He knows what college football is all about. And what he did in bringing 6 of his coaches with him from James Madison, hit the ground running in the transfer portal, brought in a ton of players. Obviously, I think there are 56 new faces on this roster, which is just amazing when you think about it. And he was able to get players who have seen a lot of playing time and have played a lot of football at this juncture out of the portal guys that were talented, that were starters elsewhere. To do that, you've got to have something on the ball. And I think that the way he hit the ground running when he came to Indiana in the transfer portal and with recruiting, I just think was tremendous. And then what I've seen in the football field from a practice standpoint, I'm convinced he's going to win. I really am. I've said that from the very outset after seeing his first in the spring, what he did. And I was privileged to have that opportunity to watch a lot of those spring practices and see them in full and how they go about their business. And I'm really excited about this season, to say the least, as you know.
Well, Don, I've not seen as much as you have, obviously, but I have the same feeling. I think that Coach Cignetti is a very detail-oriented coach, and he carries that down to his coaches below him and expects that of them. And so because of that, each room, whether it's a quarterback's room, running back's room, everybody has to be on top of their stuff. And that seems like they are. You've got his staff that has been with him for a long time, that means they're already on the same page. So they just had to get a good portion of the players on the same page. Not all of them, because a good piece of them came from James Madison, and a lot of those guys are very high-end talents. Pro Football Focus has ranked some of these guys very, very highly. So Indiana has it's ironic that you look at a team. I'm not trying to compare it to Purdue, but just because they were picked finished last this year in their second season, and yet here is Indiana with a new head coach. Although they were picked right in front of them, I think that is very far off the mark, because they're being judged on what they were last year as a 1-8 team. This is not that team.
Well, here's the other thing, Jim. They have 8 home games this year, so the schedule sets up for them in a lot of ways. Now, granted, they're still taking on Michigan and Ohio State and Michigan State. They're playing good football teams. Northwestern's improved, was a very good football team a year ago. Nebraska is a much improved team under their new coach, and he's not new anymore, but he was there last year, and he's got a chance to set their culture a little bit. Maryland has obviously been a program that's been on the upsurge here in recent years. So they've got some tough challenges ahead of them, but there's no doubt having 8 home games, that just is almost unheard of anymore. And to have that many home games and if our crowd, our fan base turns out like I hope they will, and helps this team be motivated and come out and play hard, that kind of thing, sticks around after halftime for a change and does those little things that can really help a program, I think we're going to see something special here in this first season under Kurt Cignetti, and I'm convinced that we are, whether the fans show up or not. But I still think that would really help.
Yeah, none of the coaches, players will talk about this, but that game at UCLA, a critical game to me, because that is more than winnable. And if they win that game, it could be Katie bar the door for the first 6 games of the season.
Well, I'm not going to go that far from a prediction standpoint. All I'm going to say is I still believe this. I think we're going to have a winning season, and that means a bowl game. And that to me that's the key to this season. Get to a bowl game, get everybody excited about what they're going to see on the Indiana football side of things. And I think they've got a roster to do it. I think my biggest concern at this point is injuries. Do they get key people hurt, knocked out, that really would factor into how they perform for the rest of the year? I think they've got a deep running back room, a deep wide receiver room. I think their tight end positions are okay. I think Curtis Rourke and Taven Jackson are 2 very highly capable quarterbacks. I think the defensive side of the football could be really special. I think Brian Haynes, as the defensive coordinator, I've seen more of what I saw in Kane Womack back in the day in the 2020 season, the COVID season, that aggressive, get after it, blitzing type style of defense. I'm really excited about what I've seen to that side of the ball, because they've made things really tough in these practices on the offense. And the offense knows that these guys are better than what they've been in the past. So I just think the injury issue is probably the biggest that I'm concerned about over the year. I just hope that they can stay as healthy as they can possibly stay. We know that injuries are always a part of football.
Well, Don, great to see you again. Looking forward to having you on each Monday. And go ahead and jump off so you can head to Bloomington and join me down here.
All right, man. Look forward to it. See ya.
Appreciate you. Don Fischer, the voice of Indiana Athletics, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio each and every Monday from here out through into the basketball season now. Up next, Greg Rakestraw from the ISB Sports Network joins us back with more right after this.
This segment is brought to you by the Rusty Gator.
Holy man. There goes my great backdrop that I had. Greg, can you hear me?
I got you loud and clear. You got me.
I need to boot.
I got
Probably needs to rejoin. Man, that's a weak-ass background now, huh?
Yeah, your camera's a little blurry, too. Is the connection.
Does that look better?
I just think the connection is just making the camera quality just not great.
I don't understand this. I am inside now.
Yeah.
Greg, how are you?
good, buddy. How are you?
Much better.
God dang it. I cannot believe I'm having the issues I am. Never had issues here. I can't hear Greg.
You can't hear him?
Nope.
We got about a minute. Greg, can you just talk a little bit?
Sure. You got me? Testing 1, 2, 3.
I'm losing his connection.
I can hear you just fine. Yeah,
Okay.
Jim has been having technical difficulties this morning with internet connection from
Gotcha.
Bloomington.
You might have to take over for a second.
Okay. We go back in about 20 seconds, so
Okay.
ten. Want me to do it, Jim?
Yep, start it off.
All right. 3, 2.
Segment is brought to you by the Ugly Grouper.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Back today with Greg Rakestraw. How you doing today, Greg, on this beautiful Monday morning?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Oh, I am just marvelous. Unfortunately, we have some technical difficulties here with Jim. He is live from IU Bloomington at Memorial Stadium. It's got some Wi-Fi issues, so hopefully we'll get him in here soon. But other than that, how was your weekend? How are you doing?
Weekend was good. This is the amazing weekend for me where Saturday and Sunday are off. That is the last combination of those days I have for the remainder of 2024.
Oh, wow.
I get a couple of days off next week. I get Sunday and Monday off for Labor Day week. And it's always kind of the last chance to recharge the battery before the football
This is unbelievable.
season starts because with the Colts not having the bye until December the 8th,
Unfortunately, it does not happen.
I'm working every Sunday from a couple of weeks from now until the middle of December, if you want to call that work. So as I tell people, I don't
Greg,
technically have a real job.
You're getting some internet issues.
Feedback?
Yeah, some you're cutting in and out now as well.
Okay.
Sorry to cut you off there. Try again maybe. It's sorry guys, sorry about this.
Just come back to me.
Hey Jim, how you doing?
Good.
Back here.
Yeah, I mean, I just couldn't hear Greg for some reason. He was blocked off for me as well. So hopefully we'll get him back there. But yeah, a big day out here at Memorial Stadium for Indiana football. It's game week, as I've said, but they brought us out for a media taste day or taste of media day or something. I forget what it's called, but there's a lot of new things that they are going to be offering for fans. They've changed everything, the walk, B-Town Boulevard, and hopefully we'll be talking to somebody from Levy's later in the program maybe. But I'm the only one here at the moment. But great weekend. Football, college football, kicked off. And how about the upset of Florida State going down? Not surprising to me. They were ranked in the top 10, and I'm like, I'm not buying that. That was another ranking to me that was based off of was it last year they lost their starting quarterback right before the playoffs, and they were awful. And I'm like, yikes! If you can't recover, at least not to be beat as badly as they were, it was something. But yeah, so down goes Florida State. They should be by all rights out of the college football conversation, because I doubt that will be their last loss of this season, even though they play in the ACC. They've got a Clemson team they're going to have to tangle with. Miami, I'm not sure if Miami's on their schedule, but there's a few teams in there. Louisville I'm sure Louisville and Jeff Brom were watching that game and got a little excited, saying, hey, they're not as strong as we may have thought. But the rest of the world this weekend, baby, Indiana game at 3:30 on the Big Ten Network. So that will give everybody plenty of time to tailgate. So that's going to be a fun day. Man, I can just smell the grills going now. That's the greatest thing. Pulling in to a college football stadium parking lot and the smells that just waft all over the place, whether it's barbecue or whatever is going on. Whew, can't wait, man. And it's here. I know the heat kind of came back, but that's okay. That's what's expected. That's what August is going to be like. So just got to prepare for it. It won't be that way long, and we've had an incredible summer. What else went on over the weekend? I know the FedEx golf event was going on, and man, some great racing. The NASCAR race at Daytona was an incredible finish with Harrison Burton beating Kyle Busch to the finish line after a wild wreck there toward the end. They had a restart, and it was just an absolute sprint. And young Harrison Burton, who doesn't even have a ride next season, wins at Daytona and gets to the playoffs. So maybe not Chip Ganassi, but I was thinking of Austin Dillon's grandpa there, that Richard Childress. Maybe he should bring that kid over. He doesn't have a ride, but great racing there. Then also on IndyCar. Nick, did you see the IndyCar race?
I did. Yeah, that was a pretty entertaining race there. The start for those Ganassi fans and Dixon fans.
Dixon.
Yeah, that was a rough one for me. I know after that caution, I had to go take a break because I was pretty heated there off of that.
Why, you're a big Scott Dixon fan?
He's not like my favorite driver, but it's just one of those drivers I have so much respect for, and that I just, it really hurts to see like one of those guys who just deserves to be out there, who's just always putting on a good show, who's just consistently, the best at fuel strategy, tire strategy, whatever he's got to do to maintain and be at the top at the end of the race. I mean, he's going to be there. So it's just sad to see, one one of the best guys taken out like that. But
first time he's wrecked out in lap one in like 15 years or something. I heard that stat.
Yeah. And how about Will Power, though? I mean, he is back with the chip on his shoulder. It's always good to see him. Not a big Penske guy, but it's always good to see Will Power up at the top again. So
yeah, he led 100 and something plus laps in that race.
It was like, you're watching an old, not an old Formula One race, like a Formula One race from like the beginning of the season or last season. I got Verstappen just takes the lead and just, doesn't look back. You got a 6, 7, 8 second gap by the time, you're 10 laps in. And it's just like, all right, well, we know how this race is going to be. Let's see the midfield now. So
we've got to take a break. We've got plenty more coming up. Unfortunately, Greg Rakestraw not able to stay with us today, but glad we got to visit with Don. Dustin Dopirak will be joining us as well. So we'll talk to Dustin. And hopefully you guys had a great weekend. It did get hot. I want to shout out to everybody I played in the Peggy Sherrill, the 15th annual Peggy Sherrill Memorial Golf Outing down in Floyd's Knobs at Valley View Golf Course. It was an absolute blast. That is my favorite outing of the year without question, because it's an absolute great cause for someone that I knew. And all the people that were involved that I am good friends with, and then most of the people that are playing, it's like a reunion. So incredible, fun times. We finished 20 under, and I don't know that we were probably in the top 10, but I don't know exactly where we finished, but maybe top 5, top 4, I'm not sure. But 20 under wasn't enough to get it done, people. We've got more coming up here on Indiana Sports Speed Radio. We're back with it right after this.
This segment is brought to you by the Rusty Gator.
Nick?
Yes, sir.
So how much stuff is going to have to be cut out? So I know from a time standpoint.
So you don't come in until around 16:10, 16:20-ish, around the 16-minute mark.
But are you going to be able to put it together like it sounds like a...
All I have to do really is just go and cut out that intro. Then everything else in between, then just throw it on there from when you come in.
So am I taking 16 minutes off of 37 minutes of the show clock?
We're going to have to add 16 minutes because you weren't here for the first 16 minutes.
Okay. But for this first hour, we need to add, so you have an hour of content for Fort Wayne?
Yeah.
Just tell me what I have to go to.
Okay. Go to about probably one. I honestly, I would say probably that 116 mark might be good. Or let me think. Let me double check.
I hope Dustin Dopirak joins us then.
Or is it the 107 mark, I think, actually.
How many breaks have we taken so far?
This is our second.
So this is just our second break.
Yep.
So we have another break?
Yeah, the next break after this will be the third. And that goes, usually the third break is the hour. Yeah, is the hour.
All right.
So
I don't have a break in this segment, but it would sure be nice to have. What time does
Dustin should be joining us at 9:20?
It's 9:38.
Yeah.
Did you send him the link?
I did. And we go back in 15 seconds.
Okay, you might want to text him.
Okay. I will do that once we go back. All right. And 3.
This segment is brought to you by Hoosier Hanks East.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. On this Monday, it is college football week 1, and I am looking forward to it. There are a lot of great games coming up this week, as a matter of fact. Of course, we'll be here at Memorial Stadium for Indiana as they open up the Kurt Cignetti era against Florida International. This game, I believe, is a remake from the back when the hurricane came through. But so looking forward to that. Dustin Dopirak joining us now. Dustin, how are you, sir? How was your weekend?
Good, Jim. Good. Went back home to Pittsburgh for a wedding. My cousin's daughter got married, so that was good times. So yeah, got back from that. Got to spend some time in the city.
Good to hear.
Nice.
I hope Maxine is doing well.
She is good. She had her stay in the pet hotel, and she did all right.
We'll see what we can get done with that on Dustin. But yeah, I'm looking forward to a lot of great games this weekend.
My back.
As college football opens up, Texas A&M, I think, is taking on.
Just lost Dustin.
That's okay. LSU, and let's see. I'm trying to get some of these games pulled up. I can't remember them by memory, but I'm surprised that some of these teams are brave enough to play in the first weekend, because these are some big time games. And Dustin, I'm not sure if you're with us or not, but I'm looking forward to it.
You
started seeing the schedule come up over the weekend when those games were going on, and it is just going to be an absolute great time. This college football season is something I'm very excited about, and it's going to be incredible to see who makes it to the college football finals, especially with the new 12-team format. Who are going to be those last 4 teams? Or there's going to be some surprises, and who are those surprises going to be? I mean, we already see Florida State going down. They were a top 10 team, but that was just based off of last year, not what they actually are. So I'll be interested to see how far they drop in the AP top 10 or AP top 25, rather.
Hey, Jim.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you hear Dustin?
I cannot.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Nick?
But,
yeah, I can hear you, Dustin.
Okay, keep going, Jim.
All right. Well, you guys take her over for a minute then.
He told you to keep going there.
Yeah, I was just saying that I'm looking forward to the opening of college football because, and especially after what we saw last week with Florida State getting upset. Who's it going to be this week? And with this 12-team format, although more are going to get in, and there's probably some leeway, losing in week 1 is not what you want, because that's usually when you knock down a few wins, and didn't go that way for Florida State.
Yeah, no, it sure didn't. I mean, I think I didn't get a chance to watch too much of that. Like I said, we're bopping around at a wedding, but that's it. I mean, it's obviously a big loss for Florida State, but when you've got obviously a 12-team playoff and the format being that you get an automatic bye if you get one of those 4 conference championships, a lot is still possible. Basically, I mean, even if you don't have to be a top 4 team to get a bye. That I think is really intriguing. I mean, obviously Florida State can play their way back into things. It's obviously not good to get started to get beat by Georgia Tech. That's not what's supposed to happen. They still have a lot of talent, a lot of good pieces. It certainly doesn't mean they're out, but like it's just going to make for a totally different follow than what we're used to. Like, we have a sense of the rhythm of a college football season, and it's going to be different than it's ever been. So that's going to be very interesting to see how it goes. I mean, like, we're used to seeing, okay, if somebody loses, it's like, okay, like that's devastating for their, playoff chances or their, national championship game chances, whatever it's been throughout time. And now it's going to be a little bit less of that, but also, you're going to watch conference race is a lot closer. Conference championships games are going to matter. You're going to up that the importance there. You're going to look at sort of other factors. It's going to be intriguing to see how it goes. And obviously this week, I mean, you have a lot of big time games right out of the gate. Clemson, Georgia obviously is massive, I think, for both teams. I think now obviously because it's not a conference game. They whoever loses has a chance to play their way back into the playoffs out of that, whatever happens there, but it's going to be a really significant statement game. But you've got a lot of other interesting ones down the line. I think I've seen people talk up Miami. Don't know, how legitimately good they are, but they get an interesting start against Florida. Certainly Notre Dame and A&M. It's going to be interesting just how Notre Dame factors into all this. Obviously, for years when we've been talking about the playoff, and even going back to the New Year's Six, like all of this stuff, like Notre Dame has had different parts in this in terms of what you expected them to be. A lot of times you thought they were going to get a free ride, and they haven't. Maybe they're going to get a free ride out of this. Maybe they're going to end up in the playoffs all the time. Maybe they're not. So we'll see how that goes exactly. But they don't have that conference championship opportunity necessarily. I mean, I guess they can be the highest ranked team in the ACC and maybe get in that way. But they don't necessarily have that same type of option. So games like they have coming up against A&M are big for them to make a case for themselves and where they belong. So there's going to be a bunch this weekend, and every weekend you're going to see games that really, really matter. And but it's just going to be a different rhythm than what we're used to seeing. Yeah, and anytime these upsets, they're going to happen, especially earlier on, because we don't know anything about a lot of these teams. Like I said, Indiana is going to be judged on being 1-8 last year, at least for probably the first 3 weeks of the season. Then that will quickly change. Maybe, after 2 weeks, but UCLA comes in week 3. So that'll definitely be a test. But so many of these teams there's so much change because of the portal, which is good for some, bad for others. But I know that you're not necessarily a fan because you're always neutral. But is Penn State, would that be your allegiance? Do you have kind of a sense? Yeah, I mean, well, I guess yes. I mean,
asked that not to pin you into that, but just
right.
I next.
I did have to work really, that was a significant deal for me when I got to Indiana the first time, in 2009, and sort of because we had to cover them. When you're covering the Big Ten, you've got to see them. And so I had to kind of really, I know at first when you're in school in the first place and you're working for your college newspaper, you have to, put that aside when you're covering the team. And that's one of the first big things you have to learn is how to do that. When you're in college, to say okay, you are not a fan now, don't wear gear, that's not a thing that you should do. Don't go to, it's you're used to that. Because you get to school and you're supposed to be a fan, you're supposed to jump in, but then it's okay, you're a journalist, man, you've got to change your way of looking at things. And so when I got here in 2009, it was okay, I better not wear my Penn State gear. But when I covered James Madison, I allowed myself that kind of indulgence, so basically, jumped in on that, let myself be that. And I had a good friend named Damon who was a TV guy down there, and he and I would get he's from Pennsylvania too. So we made a point of watching Penn State games together. And really since then, it's been kind of hit and miss when I let myself be a fan and when I don't. And certainly when I've covered IU, I haven't allowed that. And I haven't really had time to watch them anyway, because I always had IU coverage to do. And even when I was covering Tennessee, when my Saturdays are full, I don't spend a lot of time looking for Penn State games. But, now that I'm on Pacers, I let myself do that a little bit more. So I kind of got to get back in the gear. But I'm not when I was younger, I knew their whole depth chart, top to bottom. And I don't right now. I can't tell you who their second string inside linebacker is. That stuff I used to know.
Yeah. And they're one of the teams though expected to be good. Of course, Tom Allen there as the defensive coordinator. Going to be pressure on Tom because they had the number 1 defense in the country last year. So unfortunately, there's no room for improvement. Only room for
them to fall. Yeah.
Yeah. So when did you cover JMU? I didn't know that.
I didn't cover football. I covered basketball. So I dabbled in football. By dabbled, I mean, so our So this was 04 to 09. So my joke is that Mike Shanahan has followed me everywhere I've gone. Mike's a Norwin High School graduate. Mike and I went to the same high school, and he's significantly younger than me. But then Mike, obviously played at Pitt, but was on that staff with Kirk Cignetti at JMU, and now he's at IU. So he's been, he hit my first 10 years out of college or places he's been. So if I ever see Mike, I'm going to ask him, why have you been following me? Like, you obviously, must have known of no, he doesn't. I'm sure he has no idea who I am. But I thought that was interesting. But yeah, no, so I covered, so Mike Barber was our beat writer. Our paper is called Daily News Record. Mike covers Virginia and Virginia Tech now for the Richmond Times-Dispatch. I would go, just do sidebars on football for home games, and went to a couple playoff games that were like, short drives. When I saw them play at Richmond, I remember. So they were 1AA FCS at the time. They won the FCS title in 04. I went to that game, wrote a sidebar off of that game. And you know what, they were like number 1 rated in 08. And I'm trying to think, I think the year before, no, they after Appalachian State beat Michigan, James Madison beat Appalachian State. And so that was like wild, because that was when they had Monty Edwards. I saw some really good football covering James Madison on the side. That was Mickey Matthews was the coach at the time. But that really set them, that period really set them on the path that they're on now. They had been okay for a while, but that led to them investing more in building up the stadium, which in turn allowed them to make the leap to the FBS in the first place. So that period really set the stage for what they became, obviously under Kurt Cignetti and others. But that was a really big period for their development.
One of the amazing things to me is Mike Shanahan is not related to any of the other Shanahans that are in football coaching. Just such a kind of a unique name, and it's like,
no, it's not. There's a whole bunch of Irish guys named Shanahan. They're everywhere.
Well, I'm Boyle, and I'm like, I always thought mine was kind of not unique, but not prevalent. I know if I went to Ireland, that would not be the case. But
no.
Yeah.
Well, there's a bunch of guys named Shanahan all over a bunch of Irish guys named Shanahan all over the place, and there's a bunch of Irish guys.
Are they coaching football though?
What's up?
Are they coaching football though?
Probably. I mean, he's not of the Mike and Kyle lineage, no. But there are many other Shanahans, and Mike's one of them. So no, Mike. I remember learning about him. I remember when he was in high school, because it's. Norwin doesn't produce a whole bunch of pros or major college prospects in anything. We have some sports we're pretty good at, but we don't have a long list of pros, but he was, I remember when he was showing up on preseason lists as a basketball player and a football player. And so he was a pretty big deal, pretty good tight end at Pitt. But I remember his high school exploits. It was kind of a big deal to see his name get thrown around there.
Something I noticed during Big Ten Media Days, football media days this year is, and it was very obvious right off the bat, the field surface, they used to use, or a lot of people still do, those rubber pellets to allow it gives you a little slide instead of so grabbing, which has been thought to, lead to knee injuries, ankle injuries, knee injuries, whatnot. But now at Lucas Oil Stadium, it was instantly obvious. You're like, what? They've changed to crushed cork. It kind of looks like sawdust is down there on the field. And If I had to guess, I'm going to guess because there was a fear of health causes with the rubber, of ingesting that rubber. And I think I remember that being talked about soccer goalies always having that down there. And I remember my daughter was a goalie for a while. I'm like, get out of there. Don't be breathing all that crap in. But but it makes sense. I wouldn't really see how you would ingest that much, to be honest with you. But I guess cork is better. I guess it would dissolve.
I guess that makes sense. No, I mean, if your face is down in it, you're diving in it. I imagine you take some of it in. Like you said, breathe it in. That's interesting. I didn't go. So I haven't been on a turf field in a bit now. So, but that's fascinating because, like you said, I mean, like that, it's been rubber pellets everywhere. No matter where you go, if you're covering football, you generally come home with rubber pellets in your shoes. That's sort of like just part of the deal. So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I guess I could see how that could be a health concern or a health issue that either ingesting it, taking it in, like you said, breathing it in when it's, heated, all those things can be an issue long term if you're doing it a lot. If you're doing it on a weekly basis, I can see that being a problem. So, I mean, it doesn't shock me, I guess. But cork's interesting. I'd love to know how it holds up. How much of a layer can you create of cork? And when did anybody determine that you could do that? That's a fascinating story. So I did not.
Fascinating to me. The rubber thing was still. I'm like, oh wow, I wonder how they thought to do that. And now the change has come. But I would certainly bet. Of course, I could have taken a few moments and Googled it, but I'm going to sit here and opine and
just throw darts at it. I like that. It's not a bad way to look at it. Exactly. Yeah, no, I'm intrigued how that's just how that comes about. I mean, I think clearly it's been a critical development. I mean, I think we obviously remember growing up watching teams at Three Rivers and Riverfront and Veteran Stadium and all that, and those guys got mangled playing football in particular on those spots. I mean, just the way they, you could catch and everything like that, your foot could get tangled into a turf monster and whatnot. They've obviously made major strides, making turf playable. I mean, I don't know. I imagine guys would still rather play on natural grass, given the option. But it's certainly a dramatic improvement from what it used to be. So I'll be interested to see how cork plays, just what the differences are. But I mean, whatever it is has to be better than what they used in the old days.
Yeah, because you remember back in the 70s, it seems like, man, everybody was blowing knees out at the height of the Astro days and into the 80s.
And 90s. I mean, it was still the Three Rivers was there until 2000, and that's right around the same time you saw, all of them change over. Really between like 2000, like 05 was where you saw, all those places build new parks, build new football stadiums, build new baseball stadiums, getting separate ones. Basically that's kind of been that period was when you saw, Cincinnati and Pittsburgh and St. Louis and, Philadelphia all switch over from those cookie cutter stadiums. Some other teams get rid of their, massive, Astrodome, all that kind of thing. Really, like 95 to 05 was where you kind of see the changeover, and all the way through that period, you were seeing nasty injuries, and like they still asked Pittsburgh guys. Remember, they asked Jerome Bettis what he thought of Three Rivers. When it was gone, he was like, I missed the noise. My knees don't miss it. He's like, I missed the feeling because it was just straight up. Like the way those things were built, they were just circles, and so the walls were straight. And again, it kept noise in ways that some of these other bigger football stadiums don't, like that Acrisure Stadium does not in Pittsburgh in the same way. But it's like you get to play on grass. It's like it's so much better for you. And so I mean those were horrendous, and guys used to get and this was before they had surgery that was as advanced as it is. I mean, you might tear an ACL and that might be the end of you. Like you might never get back the same way. So that stuff used to happen, and we're talking dramatic improvement since then.
Absolutely. I mean, I just remember the heat from Riverfront Stadium, those cutter stadiums, Philadelphia, just completely circular. Cincinnati's down on the river. Oh my gosh, man! You talk about some heat. I've been to games there in July, baby. It got warm, but looking forward to that. But I'm looking forward to some college football. I'm trying to find out what's the line on the Indiana game right now.
Let me look. Per ESPN's
41 or something
schedule page, where are they? Hold on, I'm gonna find it.
Minnesota is only a 1.5 point dog to North Carolina. And for those of you asking, yes, we do have the Indiana Sports Beat college football pick'em. It's up. Just go to the fantasy tab, and it's under Indiana Sports Beat, and Signetti 2024 is the password. Picking against the spread this year, guys. No more easy picks with just wins. We've gone the other way, but it's Florida Atlantic. So Michigan State.
Indiana is a 21-point favorite.
Does Indiana cover the spread in this game, people?
Be interesting. I mean, big game. Well, it's not big game. I mean, everyone's big. You just got to get started. I mean, like, obviously, I think it's just really important for, like, when you're, I think it is 20.5. But yeah, no, big one to get started. I think just for the Cignetti, regime, to get out and get a win is going to really matter. I mean, I've don't know a whole heck of a lot about Florida International. Let's see, what did Florida International even do last year?
They're not very good.
No. What were they last year?
I think Indiana's going to
4-8.
5 points.
4-8, 1-7 in the, what is that, the Sun Belt? Yeah. So it would be a good time for them to get started. Yeah. I
see a 35-10 win. So that has them covering the spread. And I think this is going to be a very potent offense, just what little I've gotten to see of them. But it's because there are so many options with this offense: running back, quarterback, throw into the running back, throw into the slot, throw into the tight end, throw into the wide out. They've used all of them in the past. It's just been I think that's what's going to make Indiana much more difficult. It is a multi-faceted, multi-dimensional offense, which was far from the case a year ago when they were telling the world they were a running team, but yet, that was not their big part of their game. They didn't have a great part of the game, to be honest with you. So.
No, they had a hard time establishing anything because they had a hard time establishing a line. I mean, it obviously comes back to the idea that as many options as you have to be able to, block. And whatever you want to do, you have to be able to block. And so that hasn't been the case for a while for them to be able to actually trust that, that they can do that. I mean, they got better, I think, obviously, since over the last season and a half, really, since the Darren Hiller firing. There was, certainly improvement in that regard, but, like, there had to be, they just have not been able to rely on much really since 2020. That's been
the shame of it. And the shame of it is the fact that didn't come much sooner really hurt the program. I mean, it hurt the program and some things that they could have accomplished.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was a whole bunch of things that were done later than they ultimately should have been. I understand why they didn't happen. I mean, like, I maintain a greater respect for Tom Allen than most people, I'm sure, do.
I think he's an absolutely incredible person.
Right. And so I get why there were a lot of things that worked until they didn't, and that's so, that I think is what a lot of people miss in coaching and sports in general. There's a lot of things that sometimes work until they didn't. And so you tend to hold on to a sense of belief in them longer. And, I mean, like, Tom Allen is a guy that believes in his guys. And I understand that. I mean, I've seen, other coaches who share the same bit of loyalty. And a lot of times when you don't have that, you have a hard time getting off the ground in the first place, but eventually it might bite you. Eventually you might find yourself in a position where you've believed in somebody for too long and you end up going down with that ship. And so, that's kind of, I think, certainly a thing that happened with Tom Allen overall, is just sort of believing in certain people, like, past their point of effectiveness. And that's, when you're wired the way he is, it's tough to see it earlier, because you just want to believe that whatever's going wrong, they'll be able to fix. And so, I get that. And I get that way of being. And I don't think that makes him an idiot. I think it just comes down to, you hire a bunch of people you believe in, you put together a bunch of people you believe in, you push them as much as you can. And sometimes it doesn't work as well as it's supposed to work. And you catch a bad break. And, obviously now he gets to go be in a position where he is not, he's coaching, but he doesn't have to be in charge of all that kind of stuff. So he can get to focus on what he focuses on, and have someone else run everything else and make the decisions as to who stays and who goes. That makes for, stuff that might be more up his alley, but I understand why it went that way. But yeah, no, I mean, I think I'll never forget asking the question. I'll never forget saying, because we talked about it in a meeting. We got not a one-on-one, it was Zach and I interviewing him together in May. I remember asking why he hadn't, why he decided not to make a change. And he said that he felt like he had a discussion. He understood that it was a problem. He understood it was an issue, but he said he said some things that he wanted to see, and he felt like he got response from that. And when I asked him after the Michigan game, where I think they'd given up 5 sacks, I'm like, do you still think you've gotten response from that? He says, not in the last 2 weeks. And Darren Hiller was fired the next day. And it was just like there's the change in that, and there was some disappointment there. And again, like it's coaching football. It's not like he did something, disloyal or in some ways, like betrayed Tom. He just was not effective, and Tom had reached the point that there was no way that he could deny that. But yeah, I mean, you don't know what would have changed if they would have made a move earlier, but on a whole, the offensive line was significantly worse, and that led to them just being, really, made it really hard for them to function, in 2022. And so that kind of set everything on a bad path after that.
Speaking of Penn State, they open up with not a give me. They travel first of all to West Virginia, which is very surprising to see a high-ranking team go on the road in their first week. And West Virginia must be getting some respect, because 8.5, it's not a lot.
No, it's not crazy. I mean, they did a home and home, and they got West Virginia last year. I mean, every once in a while you got to schedule somebody, and so a team like West Virginia is not going to let you just buy them out and play, and not make you come to their place. If you're going to put, they're going to want you to put a series together, and that's an old rivalry that goes back to the Eastern Independent days. It's obviously not the same as Pitt, West Virginia, or Penn State, Pitt. But some of those games, that whether the either pre-Big East or when Penn State was still independent, and deciding not to be a part of the Big East, those are still, there are still old feelings from then, from the early 90s, the 80s, stuff like that. That's a game that was relatively, again, frequent in the Eastern Independent Day. So that's one that'll do pretty well. That'll do pretty good numbers, and it's certainly one that in that part of country is going to have a lot of eyes on it. So it's going to be interesting. I think Penn State managed to win it pretty handily last year, but going to their place is tough. Morgantown's not an easy place. It's not an easy place to win. They tend to get rowdy there. They're certainly going to for that game. That'll definitely be exciting. It's really cool that that's a game. And again, West Virginia's coming off a really good year. They're 9-4 a year ago. They beat North Carolina in the Mayo Bowl. And so, they had not major standout wins in that group. Penn State, I'm looking at the schedule piece now. Penn State won that 38-15 last year. But West Virginia beat a lot of teams they were supposed to beat, not a lot of teams they weren't. But still, that's a ball game, and when you're playing it at their place, it's got a chance to really be interesting.
Absolutely. Dustin Dopirak is with us from the Indy Star. I'm out at IU's Memorial Stadium as we get to taste the new food and see the new digs that are coming up for IU fans. Are you going to get to make it out to any games, to football games?
I don't know. Haven't talked about that yet. I think no. It's sort of my initial thought. We've got a couple more weddings coming up in September and October, some places we need to go. So I mean, my wife drives the train on that because she is an IU grad, and so usually they at least do one tailgate per year. So we'll see what works out. I can't remember how the schedule shakes out in October and November vis-a-vis the Pacers. So I don't know if they're going to plan for any this year or not. So we'll see. If could be a late season decision whether or not we do.
Dustin Dopirak's with us from the Indy Star, and we've got more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. I'm Jim Coyle. I'll be back right after this.
This segment is brought to you by Hoosier Hanks East.
My motion camera. I don't have a motion camera on today. Oh man, yeah, we get to taste the good food today, Dustin. You missed out. Levy's is taking over, and I'm like, I'm hoping they're going to supply the media food too.
Yeah, Levy does Pacers games, which isn't bad, which is a nice situation. You'll be right back. Okay, I see you.
Yeah, it's been a very interesting Monday, to say the least.
Yeah.
All sorts of technical difficulties, and
it took me a minute to figure out where he is.
Yeah.
I can see the background now.
Yeah, he started off like at the very top of the bleachers in Memorial Stadium, then tried there, then
Oh wow.
then we tried a different spot, and
Mhm.
this is the third location. So
I
I
see.
appreciate you sticking with us and going through the technical difficulties here.
No problem, as long as he can hear me.
Yep.
That's fine.
It's all good. So
Mhm. Are they going to be early every week? Is that what? Are they going to be? Go ahead.
So the schedule that I'm looking at is Greg is 8:44, Don is 9, then you're at 9:20. And
No, I mean, is
9:40.
he going to be? Is IU going to be have its press conference this early every Monday?
I'm not sure. That is a question for Jim.
Okay.
I think it's like it used to be. Is it like noon? Today is special because they're doing the.
They're doing like here's all the new things at the stadium this year. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got about
but
1
it's going to
minute.
be noon the rest of the year. Okay, got it.
I love some college football.
This segment is brought to you by.
Oops, did not mean to do that. Sorry. About 30 seconds now. All right, and 5.
Freethink Apparel. This segment is brought to you by Freethink Apparel.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. Thank you so much. Good well with you as always. Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star. Hey, so I just noticed that your Pirates walked off my Reds, man. Yasmani Grandal, 2-run home run walk-off to beat the Reds, which 62-68, the Pirates, 63-68, the Reds. So a half-game difference there, baby, between two losers.
The National League Central managed to everybody but Milwaukee in the National League Central managed to successfully fade out of this discussion entirely. Like a month ago, they were all a part of at least the wild card berth, and nobody's they don't matter at this point. It's going to be obviously Arizona and San Diego have been fantastic. Since the break, they've been amazing, and then you've got really Atlanta hanging on. I think they're up to maybe a 3-game lead over the Mets, somewhere in that range, and that's pretty much it. That's kind of the extent of it. It looked like for a long time that the entire league outside of Colorado and Washington was going to be a part of this wild card, fight. But really, I mean, it's Arizona and San Diego have been sensational. They're giving the Dodgers everything they can handle. The Pirates hit like a 8-game losing streak somewhere in there. They're just both teams have just struggled to kind of keep it together, put all the pieces together. Obviously the Reds have had some injury issues. The Pirates just don't have, it kind of surprises me they were as competitive as long as they were, because they just don't have a lot of offensive pieces on that team. Obviously Skeens has been sensational, and Jarrett Jones did some fine pitching before he got hurt, but just the offense has been kind of getting by on smoke and mirrors. Brian Reynolds has been fantastic. O'Neal Cruz is a guy that when he hits the ball, he hits it forever. And McCutchen, you're still getting some good offense out of him, but you get from the 4-hole on that lineup, and it's beatable. It is very, very beatable. Rowdy Tellez is like your next most, consistent guy. So I'm amazed that they're even as close to 500 as they are. That's it could have been worse for this team. But obviously Cincinnati's got a whole lot of talent, some of which has been injured, some of which has been beat up, and pitching hasn't come together necessarily as a whole. But it's. I mean, I still think Cincinnati has a chance to be fantastic in the upcoming years with De La Cruz, et cetera. So we'll see. It was kind of cool because we stayed in downtown in the city because the wedding was actually at the casino on the north side, and so we did see a lot of Reds fans, coming into Pittsburgh. A lot of people wearing the colors and clearly taking it in, taking in their PNC Park weekend. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Those two teams are just, just trying to make the most out of what's left, but they're definitely not going to be a real part of this thing. It is going to be a very interesting stretch run. I mean, you don't have a lot of divisions that are over. In a lot of these cases. I have an airplane pilot voice.
I've never heard that in my life. I just think it was funny, and I'm like, I've never heard
it. I think I'm good with that. I don't know. But yeah, no, I think that it's going to be a fun stretch run in Major League Baseball, just because every one of these division races is pretty lively, except for the Central where Milwaukee's running away with it. Again, LA's really got to fight off San Diego and Arizona. They're right on their heels entirely, obviously. Atlanta's hanging around in the East. Philly has cooled off a little bit in the second half of the year. American League, the Yankees and the Orioles are right up against it neck and neck. Cleveland, KC, and Minnesota in the Central, and Seattle's not dead in the West entirely. I think Houston's probably going to put a gap in there in the AL, and then you've got really good wild card races across the board. September is going to be fun in baseball, and October is going to be just as fun. So we'll see how all this goes. And we've got Ohtani's already 40-40. Judge has 51. Like this is going to be nutty down the stretch.
Yeah, not only Ohtani in the 40-40 club, he did it like 20
walk-off grand slam.
And how much faster he did it than the second next guy. I can't remember who it was, but it's like a substantial difference. He has a very good shot of 50-50.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he very, very real possibility of pulling that off. I mean, 10 home runs in a month is not crazy for him in the least. And 10 stolen bases obviously is 100% doable. So yeah, no, it is wild to consider. And it's like, oh yeah, the year after he has Tommy John surgery and the year he can't pitch, he's still going to win the NL MVP.
He's one of the most amazing athletes in sports right now. I mean,
he is.
It's just crazy that pitching and top batter. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. Speaking of that, how about the Little League World Series, baby, that wrapped up also? Well, we got a Pennsylvania theme going today, but up in
Williamsport, PA.
Williamsport, Pennsylvania yesterday. What a great finish. Chinese, Taipei, and Florida. Florida down 1-0 from the first inning until the final inning, and when they tied it, and then would eventually win. But, man, they stranded like 11 runners yesterday. It was crazy, terrible. They had bases loaded and no outs at one time.
That's Taipei coming through, man. But still, that tough way to lose a game on Taipei's part too. Just not having first base covered on the bunt coverage.
Oh. What was the first baseman thinking? I'm like, dude, why are you coming at that? That ball's way too deep to home for you to be coming up to make that play. But then where was the second baseman? He should have been covering first as well.
Yeah, so, no, that's what you got to. It's literally, I feel terrible ripping into 12-year-olds about that.
Oh, I know. I'm like, hey,
I feel terrible, but it's just rough to watch because it happens, man. It happens in regular baseball sometimes. You put a play on and you for whatever reason want something else out of it, and you leave a bag open and you forget that you've got that bag open. But yeah, no, I mean, second base has to come over there if you're charging for. I mean, you need to know beforehand what your bunt coverage is, so you know who's charging and who's covering. And so,
well, I think that the first baseman may have been thinking the runner was on second. Oh yeah, because they had reached the 8th inning, and once you get to the 8th inning, the inning starts with a runner at second base.
They do that in Little League too. What is wrong with this? I'm tired of this rule, and it needs to end. It's done.
That's just like the stupid. Using the timeout to get the ball moved up halfway up the court. It's ridiculous.
I can live with that way more than I can live with the
runner on second.
Yeah, like 50 feet in a basketball game versus a base runner in terms of like value that you're giving somebody is drastically different. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I can go with it either way. I know DeCourcy hates it, like fire of 1,000 suns, mission in life to end it. I don't care that much, but the second base and extra innings needs to end. Needs to end now. It's done. It was a product of a product of the pandemic. We can move on now, especially when we've the pitch clock, I think, has gotten rid of the need for the runner on second base. If there was, I understood the point before. I no longer understand the point. It's not necessary. We're moving through these games in 2.5 hours. With the pitch clock, it's a much more efficient game. You don't need a runner on second base in the 10th inning. Like, you didn't earn it. If you didn't earn your base runner in the extra innings, you don't get to keep it. Like, it needs to end. And like, I don't like the idea of doing it with Little League. I like it in Little League even less somehow than I like it in the major leagues.
Absolutely. Former Colts Marvin Harrison Jr. in a little hot water with him and his son, as Fanatics are suing both of them for fraud, breach of contract. It looks as though at least they thought they had a deal with Junior for autographs and jerseys and things of that nature. For that was worth over $1 million, and I don't know what went awry, but those two dudes are being sued, and that's not something you want to get involved with, because it may end up costing you a heck of a lot more than $1 million that you would have made.
Yeah, what even is this? I'm just reading this now, and I totally missed it. This flew over my head entirely over this weekend. So,
well, it says the revised suit also claims that Harrison Jr., the official Harrison collection, and Fanatics had 3 agreements executed and or contemplated: a promotion and license agreement, the binding term sheet, and an amended and restated promotion and license agreement. And I don't know if he is just backed out after that. And
I am confused by the idea that led to believe they signed the contract. Did they sign the contract or didn't they?
Yeah, well, I think that they have something, whether it's called a term sheet.
There's something very confusing here. I don't know. Like, if you did, you either signed the contract or you didn't. I mean, like obviously now you can e-sign a contract versus actually putting pen to paper. But like, I guess you can lie and say you signed a contract when you didn't, but I don't know that anyone can sue you for that. It's like, I don't know. I'm confused. So,
I mean, I don't know is he getting a better deal elsewhere or something? I mean, why would you even back out? You never hardly hear of anybody backing out of a promotional deal. For one thing, it will not serve you well with other people that you could be promoting for, other marketing things that you could be doing. So who knows?
I'm very confused by this. I'm still.
Herbert says that he claims his dad signed it, but he didn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm very confused.
Yeah. Apparently the Harrisons are confused as well. So that hopefully that doesn't.
I don't know. I mean, obviously read through that really quickly, so I haven't seen all the pieces. There might be something I'm missing. But yeah, I have no idea what that's all about. So that's intriguing. No, I mean, like, obviously that stuff's really important. You got to figure out what who you want to work with, who you don't want to work with. You never know why somebody might not want, what they don't like about the idea that's binding, whether there's an appearance you can't make, or what, or you just decide the product is something that you don't want to endorse or whatever. I have no idea. I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going on there. Fanatics is an interesting deal in general. They're getting killed for the baseball jerseys, particularly the fact that they were kind of see-through in spring training or whatever it was. That's that. Fanatics is in an interesting spot. So I don't know. I have no idea what this has, what's going on there. So I'm intrigued to read a little bit more about that and find out what they signed, what they didn't sign. I don't know. Interesting. Yeah, great. Not great start when you're a rookie.
No.
Like, not a way to get off on that kind of foot. Like, what do you. So anyway,
Speaking of rookies, well, I guess not rookies. He's a freshman, but this is coming 20 minutes ago, kind of the same deal. Cooper Flagg just signed a shoe deal with New Balance. It doesn't give any numbers or anything, but they say it's a pretty significant deal. So it seems like he's going to be set up there over at Duke this year, and definitely the future.
And in general, no, I mean, Flagg is an interesting case. I think just the degree to which he really opened eyes at, playing for the select team, basically there's all the Olympics guys were talking about how good he's going to be. I mean, like he looks like it's obviously he's not the same as Wemby, where you have obviously the just size you've never seen before. But we are going to go through an entire year's worth of Cooper Flagg hype. Like, get prepared now. Starting in November.
He's already picked as the college player of the year. And I'm like, how is that possible? How you're going to go from a generational Andre the Giant that just was a freak of nature to now to this freshman, and you've already anointed him without playing a single game as the player of the year? I hate that. Let them earn that first. But speaking of Duke and Nike, they've had shoe deals set up for years. That goes way back. That precedes NIL. I mean, Zion was getting paid and getting paid quite well way before NIL came into the picture. So I guess now they can just take them public as all. So
yeah, well, the other piece is, I mean, I hadn't even thought about that until you just mentioned it. But I mean, what it creates is a situation where people, what am I trying to say here? When players have different deals than the coach, I mean, like that's an interesting conflict. I mean, a not small piece of that was, when like you would have these shoe deals and who benefited was the coach. The coach wore Nike stuff or Reebok stuff or Adidas stuff wherever he went. And like he was a spokesman for the brand and everybody on the team wore the shoes. So how does it work now when, because NBA coaches didn't have the same deals, like that was a benefit to being a college coach, was you got to be a brand ambassador for your shoe company or whoever it was that was sponsoring your school. How is it going to work when these guys have individual shoe deals? What does that look like? Because you're still negotiating these, like you're not negotiating deals with the league. Like you're negotiating deals with the school. Robert's asking the exact same question I'm asking. So I'm very intrigued by how this is going to work.
I can't see that. I'm curious as well, because I cannot imagine a school would allow you to wear a non-branded, like if it was Indiana, I cannot imagine any player being allowed to wear anything other than Adidas.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the other piece is, though, in the NBA, you can. The NBA, nobody has to match, when it comes to shoes. The jerseys have to match. It's an apparel deal, like all, the uniform stuff, all of that, is made by. So, like whether.
But what's Indiana's deal with Adidas? Is there a language in there that says all athletes are required to wear Adidas footwear?
I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't know. So I do not know how that changes. I mean, it's definitely a thing to like look at in contracts. I imagine this has been discussed at some point in time, but in the course of this NIL deal, this like how it's going to be in terms of who gets to wear what. But I imagine that you wouldn't sign an individual to a shoe deal if he didn't intend to wear your shoes on the floor. So. Somebody asked where's New Balance. Remember, they're actually, they are growing their roster. And you're starting to see more of these ads. Obviously, Shohei Ohtani is a New Balance guy. Jamal Murray, Tyrese Maxey. I'm trying to think of who's all on. Oh, Kawhi Leonard. Who's all on this? And Aaron Nesmith. So Nesmith is actually probably one of their sort of top 10 guys. So I mean, I see whenever I go by Nesmith's thing, his locker room is very New Balance heavy, so he always gets the new stuff. But yes, no,
there's a good idea.
Yeah,
we do need to take a break here soon.
Yep. All right.
Dustin Dopirak, appreciate you, my friend. As always, look forward to talking to you again next week, and enjoy the rest of your day, brother.
Absolutely. Sounds good, Jim.
Betcha. Dustin Dopirak from Indy Star joining us here on this Monday as I'm coming to you from Indiana's Memorial Stadium as game week 1 starts off this week. Florida International against Indiana. We're out here. We'll be meeting with Coach Signetti, I believe, today. And we'll see who else is going to be there. But we're back with more here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
This segment is brought to you by Freethink Apparel.
How's it going? Great, coming up. Damn it. Okay, do we have any sound from last week? Nick?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. We have Shane Steichen and Tyson Lawton.
Tyson Lawton,
yeah.
Isn't he a running back?
Yeah, he is their he's the second-year senior running back. Go back in 2 minutes. Got about 1 minute. This Cooper Flag thing literally just came out. I saw the headline.
Great job of grabbing that.
New Balance is always a surprise for me to get athletes, but I was reading the article. It makes sense. I guess like the headquarters is like 10 minutes or like 30 minutes from his house or something like that. And I guess the family's always just been real close to the brand. And so. Got about 10 seconds. 3.
This segment is brought to you by Hoosier Hanks East.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. Thank you, as always, so much for being with us. Jim Coyle here, coming to you from IU's Memorial Stadium on the campus of Indiana University as we have entered week 1 of the college football season. We just had week 0 games over the weekend, a handful of games, not much of consequence, except for a pretty big upset with Florida State going down, a top 10 team getting knocked off over in Dublin, Ireland. But this week is when everyone will be looking, because we'll have games all day. As a matter of fact, games Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, because just realized it's the holiday weekend. So we've got that going for us, which is nice. Also, a CBS panel where the media picked Indiana to finish 17th. The Big Ten media picked Indiana to finish 17th this season. Like I've said this all along. Everybody is basing that on 1-8 last year, whatever before, and all that. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I get that, but that's not this. And just because they have they've had a penchant for not doing things well, for not having it going on. The football program has not been good. There's no way of hiding that. But to me, that has nothing to do with what I see now. And that's what I'm judging. I'm judging now. I'm judging today. I'm judging the staff today, the players today. And that's why I am way, way, way different than most of these prognosticators that are putting them down. Even the CBS people who all think much more highly of Indiana. As a matter of fact, the lowest that anybody had from this group of 8 was 14th. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Jerry Palm, David Cobb, Dennis Dodd, and Tom Fornelli, who picked Indiana to finish 11th. Filled far down the list, but that if you're 11th, you're probably going to be in okay shape. Probably going to be about 7-5, which is what I have guessed them at. I don't think 8-4 is out of the question, but 7-5 is what I am going to stick with as what I will predict for this season. But it doesn't matter what I say, what CBS says, or what anybody says. They've got to go out on the field and do it. But in that article, they talk about the fact that everybody is just reacting from the past without question. Let's see. Shane Steichen spoke to the media after the Colts' last game. We'll get Shane Steichen here, and then we'll hear from Tyson Lawton. We'll go back to IU football. But the Colts, man, I don't know. Boy, they looked shaky to me. I know it's really the first back for Anthony Richardson, but that first drive looks spectacular. 7 of 8 scoring drive, but then he comes right back after the turnover by they picked up and were in scoring position, and he throws a pick 6. So he went downhill from that. I mean, it was just like he got rattled and never returned. They're lucky to have Sam Erlinger as a backup. He is a hell of a backup. He is someone who knows what he's doing, and he's not great, but I don't know that you lose a ton when he comes out, at least right now with Richardson being a rookie, or not a rookie, but in his second year. He had a stunted rookie season, so he's almost still a half a rookie, to be honest with you. So we'll see, but looking forward to that. Let's hear what Shane Steichen had to say.
I thought it was good. Like I said, the first drive was really good. There's some miscommunication stuff on one of the plays. But to get him out there again, like I said, running around with those guys and getting that, quarter and a half, it was great to see. You saw the explosiveness that he had on the first drive, made some really good throws. I think he was 7-8 on that first drive. So it was great to get him out there. The interception, was that miscommunication? Yeah, we just got to get on the same page there, and we'll go back and get that thing cleaned up. So I'm not concerned about that.
How do you see him evolve since the start of training camp?
Yeah, it's been great to see his, his growth really more than anything. Getting in, obviously, OTAs, going into training camp, getting that series in that first preseason game, then getting out there and playing a good amount tonight was great. So, again, excited. We're 17 days away from Houston, so got some work to do before we get there, but we're fired up for it.
Ryan says that Erlinger's going to get cut. What the hell are they going to do for a backup quarterback? Do they have one better than Sam that I'm not aware of? Because with a semi-rookie quarterback that was injured right off the bat last year, I think that it's going to be very important for them to have a solid backup at the ready. So I'm not sure that will be the case. Tyson Lawton, Indiana running back out of that tough, a very good, what is supposed to be one of the highlights of the IU offense, in addition to the receivers room. But Tyson Lawton met with the media last week ahead of game 1 this week, and let's hear what he had to say.
I feel like yesterday we had a better scrimmage than scrimmage 1. Scrimmage 1, we wasn't really clicking. After that scrimmage, we made an offensive group chat. because I feel like being that there's like 40 something transfers, we didn't really know how to speak to each other after that first scrimmage. So after that first scrimmage, we kind of like made a group chat, sat down, had a meeting, spoke to each other, and got to know each other. And I feel like that was a step forward in our process, and we had a great scrimmage too. So I feel like we just keep doing that and getting that going, and we should be fine.
Who initiated the group chat? What players kind of?
Kurt, you know, as the ones we got out, we were slow at that first scrimmage. So Kurt, you know, he was kind of mad about it. Honestly, we was all mad about it. And then the next day, group chat's in the air, and we had a meeting that next day.
There you go. Tyson Lawton, what he's talking about is after their second scrimmage, they didn't feel good about their performance. And Kurt Rourke took the initiative and the leadership and showing leadership by creating this group text message string. But the funny thing is that it caught me is because everyone is so new, everyone didn't know how to get a hold of everybody or talk to everybody, which it shows to you know, the era that we're in now with this transfer portal era, and there's so many new people every year, which that's not going to change. But great way to overcome that and get on the same page. And obviously they were able. We'll find out this week how much they were on the same page. But I'm just think that this offense is going to catch some people off guard while they will have 2 games worth of film for people to look at before they get to the UCLA game. I don't expect them to have to show a lot. I don't know how much they will want to show just to practice it. So it's going to be interesting to see what all we see from the offense when they uncork it against Florida International next Saturday at 3:30 on the Big Ten. Generally, most teams just ease into the season, especially if you have a team that you should easily handle, which that should be the case this week, as Indiana is a 20.5 to 21-point favorite, depending on where you look. Do they reach that? I think so. I think that this is going to be I think they have a lot of talent on that offensive side. In that receiving core, you have a lot of guys that can break free and score running after the catch. You have a lot of running backs that can break free and bust out for runs. You've got the offensive system where you have a slot back to throw to, running back to throw to, and a tight end that gets thrown to a lot in this offense. That's a lot for defenses to keep up with, especially one like Florida International when there's nothing. I guess they can go back and look at some James Madison film, but that's all that they're going to have to look at. It'll be interesting. I think that Indiana comes out and they come out scoring. Kurt Cignetti likes to make points, and not in a negative way, but he likes to make points. He's not going to want to come out and barely win the game. He wants to establish confidence, not just in his team, but the fans. And because of that, I think that he comes out swinging. We'll see. It'll be interesting to find out. But I think that there's going to be no holds barred with this. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be throwing it down the field every other play, but I don't think that they're going to be holding much back. Certain plays, I'm sure they will, but they'll be going after it all the way through. And it's going to be interesting to see what we get done. We've got to take a break. We've got more coming up here on Indiana. Are we at a break time yet, Nick? I guess I should ask the boss. You never know.
Yeah, we could take a break right now.
All right. We've got more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We'll be back with it right after this.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
I forgot. God dang it. We got 16 to add to that. Son of a bitch.
Yep.
I shouldn't have taken a break. I should not have taken a break then. How long is this last segment going to be?
We will go until 2:09. So it'll be about 25 minutes.
Oh, wow. That's a long-ass segment.
There's still one Tyson Lawton clip we could play. Him talking about like Cignetti's presence.
Absolutely.
Then there's still a Bryant Haynes clip from last week as well on the differences of coaching like between Ball State and IU.
I like it.
We go back at like 1:47 exact.
Cool.
Yeah, Joe Flacco is who you were forgetting there.
Joe Flacco?
Yeah, Colts backup.
Oh.
I think he'll be our number 2 this season.
Oh, I didn't realize they had Joe Flacco.
Yep.
Oh, that makes sense now. I was like, what are they talking about? I had no idea.
A little old now, but the experience, I think, and leadership will be good for AR. I mean, but we've been saying that too with Phillip and Foles coming in and trying to guide the young guys as well. So I don't know. We'll see. "30 seconds. Yeah, Flacco did save Cleveland's season last year, Brian. You are right on that. All right, in 3.
This segment is brought to you by the Fresh Fork in Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. Jim Coyle here, coming to you from Hickey Hall at IU's Memorial Stadium. Was outside for a minute, which is great, but didn't want to have any bad connections going on. So we're back inside today for actually it's they're unveiling some new Hoosier game day dining experiences. It's a taste of the new food and beverage offerings at Memorial Stadium by Levy's, who has taken over all hospitality here. But in addition to that, you've got Buffalo's, you've got Avers Pizza, you've got Upland Beers. So a lot of local flavor, which is very, very cool. But Indiana has partnered with sports and entertainment hospitality leader Levy to create an incredible new and delicious food and beverage experience across all athletic venues. And this exclusive first taste event at Memorial Stadium, you and Levy are excited to share how hungry fans will enjoy football game days this season. That's not to make you jealous, but that's what we're doing today. But there's new and renovated dining destinations on the main concourse. That has to be pretty cool to get that stuff cleaned up and whatnot. Favorite restaurants from the Bloomington area, like I spoke of, serving fans inside the stadium. You've got B-roll opportunities, including a preview of new grab-and-go markets on the Memorial Stadium concourse, the first taste of new signature food and beverage offerings available throughout the stadium, created by Levy's chefs. Interviews with IU athletics leaders and Levy's people are from today as well. So we'll get that going on. But it's already started, to be honest with you. And I had hoped to be done
in time to do that, but we're not. So we'll hang out with you guys for a while until then. And so we'll get to it. I just don't want to miss out on the food. Hey, because But looking forward to that. A baby buffalo color is always orange. All right. Well, there's that. I did not know that. Maybe that's where the Buffalo Wild Wings came in. I guess that's another business, though, isn't it? Hey, what the college football pick'em for Indiana Sports Beat up, ready to go. Get your picks in. Don't forget, we are using the spread this year. Last couple of years, we've just gone with wins, but we're really going to see who can pick them, baby. And I'm afraid. I'll got to be honest with you, but whatnot. Got to think of some good stuff to give away as well. So don't worry, we'll come up with some good prizes without question. I've got a really nice large jacket at home that is monogrammed with the ISB logo. If someone happens to be a size large, they may end up with that if they win it. But we're going to have some great stuff, no doubt. Some other pullovers to give away, and heading toward. I'm excited. College football is here. Like I said, the schedule is going to be incredible. Starting on Thursday, I believe. So let's find out what the college football schedule is going to be like. I forget who does play Thursday. Boom. Get that pulled up. And what are some of the games you're looking forward to watching on Saturday that you know of besides Indiana and taking on Florida International? Like I mentioned, there's Notre Dame and Texas A&M, which is a high-ranking game. So there's an early season one that could be that Notre Dame is another team that I think is probably overrated. I think that they're ranked because it's where they are because of the name on their jerseys. And this is going to be a stern test for them. If they lose to Texas A&M early, it could be big trouble for Notre Dame trying to make the college football playoffs. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm looking forward to this Saturday, man. It's going to be incredible. And I have already said Indiana will cover the spread. I've got that game at, 35-10. So we've got that going for us, which is nice. But starting on Thursday, number 24, North Carolina State will host Western Carolina. Number 11, Missouri hosts Murray State. And number 22, Kansas hosts Lindenwood. None of those games sound exciting, of course, but they're happening. Utah is hosting number 12. Utah hosts Southern Utah. So there's 4 games for this Thursday, all ranked teams playing in that. One game on Friday, which of all places, Oklahoma, knocking off a high school night. But Temple will visit number 16, Oklahoma. And then on Saturday, these are the ranked teams. I'll have to get to all the games. But how about this? At noon, number 14, Clemson is at Georgia. The preseason number 1 and current projected team to win it. Oh, the U.S. Open up in New York at Arthur Ashe Stadium starting today. Man, I bet that's going to be warm. Who am I hating on? Who did I hate on? I hate when I don't even hate, apparently. Didn't even know I was hating. Iowa, number 25, Iowa. Look at Iowa. Barely makes it into the top 25 to start the season. That is going to be interesting. They had all kinds of offensive problems last year. To fire the offensive coordinator, Kirk Ferentz's son.
after he was not able to meet up to the standard that they had set for production, which I think is actually a great thing. I think coaches should be held to those more often. Number 16, Tennessee, hosting Chattanooga. Oklahoma State hosting South Dakota State. They'll have their QR codes in the back of their helmets so people can send them money. Ohio State hosts Akron. Texas hosts Colorado State. There's an interesting game because Colorado State, I believe, is game 2 for Purdue on the road. We'll check that one out. Number 19, Miami heads to Florida. Alabama hosting Western Kentucky. Ole Miss hosting Furman, Kansas State. UT Martin, Oregon against Idaho. Notre Dame, Texas A&M, the best game I've seen on the schedule so far. Michigan hosts Fresno State. That might be interesting just to see. It's going to be interesting for me to see what Michigan looks like right now. They're playing Fresno State, so it's not like they're playing a mid-level, a Big Ten team or something like that. But I'm going to be interested to see what they get done. So Arizona ranked number 21, hosting New Mexico, and then we move to Sunday. Now this is probably, I don't know, this along with the Notre Dame and Texas A&M game, USC number 23 travels to the Bengal Bayou to take on the LSU Tigers, number 13 ranked Tigers, and Chip Kelly's. That's a 7:30 game on Sunday night. Then Monday Night Football. Really? Guess who they have on Monday night? Florida State hosting Boston College. Man, they ended up with the Monday night slot. Guarantee you they were thinking they were going to be going into that. Well, they won an Mark. So, man, what is the relationship between JHS and Dalton Connect? I'm not sure. But I still saw that, I did see that Jalen Hood-Schifino has been doing some good things in camp for the Los Angeles Lakers, coming back off of an injury. They shut him down last year in March, I believe, back surgery. So he is hopeful to come back fully healed and ready to go. And hopefully he will be able to do just that. Be interesting to see how that goes. Jalen Hood-Schifino is obviously a very, very, very good talent. So hopefully he can manage to keep things rolling on out in Los Angeles. That's going to be I don't know if it's a great situation to be in. While Bronny James is not a point guard, you know that. How weird is that going to be? I mean, I'm just wondering, does LeBron even have to say anything? Or is Bronny going to get minutes just because? I don't know. But the thing is, Jalen Hood-Schifino he's playing point guard. Bronny's not. He's not a point guard. They're two different positions. As a matter of fact, Sean East, the second, he performed as well as anybody did during the Lakers Summer League at point guard. He played very, very well. So, IU Juju, the shirts would sell themselves. Brian, that is a great idea, and I will make that shirt. I do like that. If he comes, we're going to do it. That's a great idea. I like it. JJ is going to do whatever LeBron tells him to do. Yeah, JJ Redick. That's what I'm thinking, though. I mean, I don't know that he even has to say anything. You know, he carries that kind of weight. He probably got the job because of LeBron. So who knows? But who cares? It's college football season, baby. It's so fun sitting here looking out at the stadium. Although it's empty, it looks great. You can see that things are set up on the terrace across the way at the other end of the field. and they've got the field suites set up, ready to go. I'm curious as to what the tunnel is going to be. I had heard talk of that, but I don't really not understanding what they've done, so they may show us with that at some point. But I haven't seen it to where it matters yet. I saw that they're building something, a roof over the doorway where they come out of their locker room. Indiana used to come out of from the weight room in the middle of the field, and that's going to change this year. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm just looking forward to it. It's ready to go. I mean, it's time. And then college basketball will be here right around the corner after that. As soon as football starts, we're 6 weeks away from the college basketball season starting, at least practice and whatnot. So then everyone's going to be wondering about that. And hopefully then you've got soccer starts this Thursday. Forgot about that. Indiana hosting Notre Dame at Bill Armstrong Stadium. On Bill Armstrong Field at Jerry Yeagley. Which one is it? I forget. Jerry Yeagley Field at Bill Armstrong Stadium. That's it. So, but starting out with a great one against the Fighting Irish, and that is Thursday night. So that's a great setup for the game this weekend. You've got Thursday soccer, some high-ranking soccer, and then Friday, people are probably going to be getting ready for that next day because you don't have to get up early if you're a student, obviously. But I think Friday night's going to be a big night in Bloomington. Should be fun this weekend. I think that there's going to be a lot of excitement. Everybody is pumped up. They're listening to people like me that either believe or you don't believe. I mean, we shall see, but I just cannot see Indiana not going 7-5 this year. The schedule is their friend, but we'll see. You got to do it on the field. You've got to do it on the field. Florida State playing Boston College, like I said, next Monday night. They don't have the spread. Do they have a spread up there? Yep, 17. Florida State is a 17-point favorite coming off of a loss. LSU is only a 4-point favorite at home. No, it's on the road. No, yeah, they're at home. How is LSU only a 4-point favorite at home against USC? I don't know that USC is that good. Their defense, if I was betting a game, that's the game I would bet, and I might just do it because I don't have the confidence in USC's defense. They were horrible last year. Had to fire their defensive coordinator, and I don't know that they fixed those problems yet. So that'll be an interesting game to watch. New Mexico, Arizona, that's a 30-point spread, man. Not fun. Michigan is a 21.5 point favorite over Fresno State. Now, Texas A&M, a 3-point favorite over Notre Dame at home. All right, now see, that makes sense to me. The USC-LSU game, yeah, not so much. I'm taking LSU in that. I don't know if it's on our board or not for our pick'ems. I'll go over that at the end of the week, though. So we'll get that set up. Oregon, take it on Idaho. Like I said, they don't have the spread for that one. But Alabama is a 31-point favorite over Western Kentucky. Those games will be so much fun. Now, Miami and Florida, there's a good game. Miami just 2.5-point favorite over the homestanding Gators. I bet our buddy Cabro has something to say about that. Have to get him on here this week as well to talk about that. That should be a fun game. And Miami they're trying to get back to what they were. They toiled in the ACC. No one has taken over that ACC after Clemson had a great run. Then there was just nobody. Usually you have somebody that comes along, and it hasn't been the case. Now you've got Clemson kind of coming back. So who knows? Five Left says
Lincoln Kelly is not going to win a championship at USC, and he will get – oh, he must be talking about the player. I missed that. My bad. But, yeah, don't forget we've got the new teams added to the Big Ten this year, UCLA, USC, Oregon, and Washington. How will they do? That will be something to keep an eye on. Two of those teams on Indiana's schedule, of course, UCLA in week 3 that we've talked about. Washington will be game 8 on the season. So Indiana will have a lot of games in between those two to find their groove, but that's what these first 2 games are set up for, against Florida International and Western Illinois, before they go on the road and take on the UCLA Bruins. I'm picking Indiana in an upset there. Of course, you don't have the spread yet, but I'm curious as to what that spread will be. Of course, it will have a lot to do with what Indiana does this week against Florida International and the following against Western Illinois. But can Indiana go to Los Angeles as a favorite? That will be very interesting. That will be a shocking thing for a lot of people, I believe. So looking forward to that. I'm just looking forward to the college football season, people. I am excited that it's here. I am so looking forward to covering a team that should be exciting. I think that fans are going to have a lot of fun watching this year's Indiana team. I know I sound like I'm doing the marketing for them right now, but hey, I get told I'm negative all the time because when I don't think things are good, I say that. But when I think the opposite, I'm going to say that too, and that's what I truly, sincerely feel about this. And hope I'm not wrong, but it wouldn't be the first time. But I'd like to be right. It's a lot more fun covering a winner. And it's a lot more fun for everybody else. It would be great to see football good at Indiana. I think it would be good for the Big Ten to see a team like Indiana rise up out of the ashes. So Van Pastorman says he doesn't have any hype about IU football. They have to show him on the field. Well, you wouldn't have hype, but does that mean hope? Yeah, well, they have to show me on the field. They have to show everybody on the field. But my opinion is what it is. And I've explained why and all of that. So I don't see, 5 left. He's all in no matter what, even if they were to miss a bowl game. I don't think that happens. But that's how you have to be. The Indiana football needs the support of fans, period. You can't be a bandwagon jumper. Either support your team or don't support it. That's the difference between a lot of programs. You go down to a Kentucky game back when they stunk. They still had fans there, people showing up, having fun, supporting, being there. It would be great to see that in Indiana as well. So hopefully that all changes, and I think that it will. Man, hope you enjoyed the show. We had little road issues earlier on with some communication things, but I think we got past that. Big thanks to Greg Rakestraw for joining us, as always, on each Monday. Dustin Dopirak, of course, as well, from the Indy Star. And the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, started his run with us today. Look forward to talking to him each and every Monday here out through the end of basketball season. So we're going to be back tomorrow to do it again. We'll have everything that went on today for you, some interviews probably, and cover all of that. Until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.